Hi guys, so today we'll be solving car collision problems in physics, and this one involves two cars where one is at rest and one is moving. So this first car, which we'll call M1, has the mass of m and has the initial velocity of 10 meters per second. And car 2, which we'll call M2, has the initial velocity of 0 meters per second with the same mass as M1. So the key thing to remember here is that their masses are the same. So when these cars collided, they went off in different directions. This one went at 30 degrees. So using our knowledge of vectors, we can come up with a formula, which is VIFX equals VIFX cosine of 30, going in the x direction. And in the y direction, we have VIFY equals VIY final sine 30. Now moving on to the next car, we're going to do the same thing with using vectors, and we get V2 f of x equals V2 f cos of 45. And now going in the y direction, we're going to have V2 final times the sine of 45. We then set up our momentum formula, which we know the beginning momentum is going to be the same as the momentum after. We did this for the x values first and then the y values. Since we know that car 2 has no velocity and anything times 0 is 0, we can set our momentum to 0 equals m1 times v1 fy sine of 30 minus v2 fy sine of 45. We have to put minus because the velocity in the y direction will be downward. Moving on to the x equation, we can cancel out the masses by simply dividing. Velocity is only left, and it is 10 meters per second. We plug in our numbers from the angles again. Now 10 equals v1 f of x cos 30 plus v2 fx cos 45. Taking a calculator, we can find out these numbers. 10 equals v1 f of x, and the cos of 30 is 0.866 plus 0.707, which is cos of 45, v2x. Now we move back to the y side and figure out those angles. 0 equals 0.5 v1 fy minus 0.707 v2 fy. So we saw that we had 0.5 for v1 fy and thought that we could multiply both sides by 2 to make v1 fy a whole. So we did that, and v1y became 1 minus 1.41 v2 fy. Now that we have the velocity of car 1, we could easily plug that into the other equation for momentum to find out the velocity of car 2 after the collision. So now you plug 1.414 into the equation for the x values. Now 10 equals 0.866 times 1.414 plus 0.707. And this may seem hard, but as soon as you plug into the calculator, you get 1.93. Now you have 10 equals 1.93. Divide both of these sides by 1.93, and you get the final velocity for car 2. Now to get the final velocity for car 1, you plug in 5.18 into the earlier equation. So you have VF1 equals 1.414 times 5.18, and you get 7.32 meters per second. Thanks for watching. This has been Ariel Alvarez and Barbara Campos on collisions.